Hello everyone, welcome back to TechWithAlok. This is session 5 of our free certified Kubernetes Administrator course 2026, where we are learning Kubernetes from beginner to expert, and this is completely free of cost. So if you are preparing for CKA certification, planning to become a DevOps engineer, cloud engineer, platform engineer, or simply want to understand the Docker and the Kubernetes from scratch, then you are at the right place. In this course, we are not just learning the commands, we will understand every concept with real life examples, and then we will move on to the hands-on practical demonstrations. If you have not watched the previous episodes, I highly recommend watching them first, because every session is built upon the previous one, and having a strong foundation will make the upcoming Kubernetes concepts much easier to understand. So without wasting much of our time, let's get started. So today we are going to perform our first complete hands-on Docker practice session. So by the end of this session, you will comfortable using the most frequent used commands in Docker in the real world projects or day-to-day life. So open your terminal, practice every command along with me, and by the end of this session you will get the confidence to work with the Docker containers on your own. So let's begin. Before we start today's hands-on session, let's quickly recap what we have learned so far. So in the session 2, we understood why the Docker was created, the famous problem that we hear every IT industry or in every IT company works on my machine problem that we understood, and how Docker solves environment consistency issues. So those things we understood in session 2. In session 3, we compared the Docker versus virtual machines, why containers are lightweighted, and why Docker has become the industry standard. And in the last session, we understood how to install the Docker in a local machine, Docker architecture we understood, then the components of the Docker architecture like Docker client, Docker daemon, Docker hub, and we successfully later ran our very first Docker container. So today is going to be 100% hands-on session where we will use Docker command that every DevOps engineer uses almost every day. So by the end of this session, you will not only know how to use these commands, but you will also understand what each command does and why we use it, and what output you should expect from each command. So let's open the terminal and start our Docker journey. Okay, the very first command is docker -version. Alright, so this command displays the installed Docker version. So whenever you install Docker, this should be with your, so whenever you install Docker, this should be your very first verification step. So expected output is Docker, and it is followed with a Docker version. So if you see the version number, then you can assume Docker is installed correctly in this machine. The next command we have is docker info. Alright, so this command provides detailed information about your Docker engine. It shows the number of containers, see the number of containers, number of images, number of storage drivers, CPU, memory, and Docker root directory, and the server version as well. The CPU here we have the architecture, and the other things also we can get the information by writing this docker info. So just think like this is the health report of the Docker installation. So the next command we have is docker search Nginx. Suppose you want to use Nginx but don't know the exact image name. So this command searches Docker Hub. It works like a Google search but for the Docker images. Let's download the image. So we understood in the previous session how to download the Docker image. Let's try to download one sample image. Let's write Docker Nginx. So this command download the Nginx image from the Docker Hub to your local machine. The important point is that an image is only downloaded. No container is created. So if I put this will start downloading in your local machine from the Docker Hub. And if you want to see how many images we have in a local, so you will see here this one. So you will see one of the Nginx latest image and having its own ID, and the disk usage is 241 MB and the size of this image is 66 MB. And this Docker images will list all the stored images in your local machine. Let's understand the next command and run our first Nginx container. So we have downloaded the image, and how to run that image. You have to type docker run Nginx. So you see the process is executed and the image started running. Now Docker checks if when we type docker run Nginx, Docker checks if the image exists. If not, it downloads it from the Docker Hub. If it is already existed, in our case, then it creates a container and starts it. So this single command performs multiple actions. So let's stop this one. We see the exit message, and if we type docker ps, you will see there is no container is running at this point of time. But if we type docker -a, so docker ps, it's showing us the running containers, and it shows the container ID and from which image it is running and the status and on which port the container is running at this point of time. Whereas docker ps-a shows all the running containers, along with that stopped containers and exited containers. So in our case, we exited from a running container, that was the Nginx. So we exited, and that's why we are able to see using the docker ps-a. Let's run one of the container in detach mode. So that we will not be logging after running the container inside the container, but we will see the container will run in the background. So that's why we put the flag -d, which is equivalent to detach mode. It means whenever we will run this Nginx container, this particular container will run in the background or in the detach mode, so that we will not be going in directly inside this container by entering this command. So let's see the container logs. So what command we we use to write when we need to find the logs for the particular container. So docker ps, we saw there's a one. Let me clear the terminal and just type. So you see here there's one container running which is up since last 44 seconds, and it is open on the port 80, and they have put the random name of this container. So let's check the logs of this container. So the command for checking the logs is docker logs, and we have to put the container ID of the container for which we need to check the logs. If you enter, you will see all the logs of the particular container showed in the terminal. So you will see, this is not the empty, this is process started, the process is started for the Nginx. So this is how we can check the logs of the particular containers. Let's say if we want to go inside this container, earlier we ran the command docker run Nginx, so we directly land ourselves into the container. But if we are seeing like we have 100 set of containers and we want to go inside the container, so one of inside the container, then how we can do it? So just type docker exec it is the flag like interactive mode, and the docker id, docker container id, and we see this is the Linux based system, and this we can logging by typing the bash command at the end. If you see here, you will see the all right. So you see it took little time to go inside the container, but you see my host name has been changed from Alok to root, this one. If I type ls here in the container, you will see the directories and the list of all the files present inside the home directory. All right, let's exit from this container. Just type exit and you will be out from this container. Let's see, we saw, okay, so we saw this particular container is running and we have logging inside this container as well. Now if someone want to stop that particular container, then how the user can do? So just type for that docker stop, and it followed with the docker container id. So if we type this, and as soon as we enter, we will see a container will be stopped. See, there are no but if you want to see all the stopped containers, you can type docker ps-a. You will see one container was created 4 minutes ago but exited 19 seconds before, and this was the gifted kapitsa container. So if we want to restart a container, then for that which command we need to type? For that we have to type docker restart and then the container id. Let's try with this container what it says. Okay, and if we see docker ps, we will see the container is up and this one. So previously we stopped the container, so we have not killed that container. Understood this point? We have not killed this container, we have only stopped the container, and when we stop the container, we can restart the same container using the same id by typing this command docker restart and the docker container id. And let's say if we want to remove this container, for that let me clear the terminal and just type docker ps and see the running containers. Let's see the next command, how to remove the particular container completely. Instead of just stopping, we will eliminate this container from this terminal. Docker, for that docker rm is for remove and -f is forcefully, and which is followed with the docker container id. If I type it, and as soon as it provides the output of the container id, we type docker ps and there is no container running. And if we check by using the -a, we will see exited 7 minutes back. So you will see it was created and we exited 7 minutes back, but we, as soon as we deleted, the list of the container is not present here. So we only saw the docker ps-a only list of the container which we exited, stopped or killed. Okay, now let's see the next command. So we saw we saw one of the command earlier, docker images. So docker images, what it does, it provides the list of all images that are present inside a terminal. Let's remove this image as well. So for that we have to run the command docker rmi remove machine image and the image name, which is Nginx. So I just copied and just paste it to here. So you see here there's a must be force container is using the reference image of this. So one of the container is used of this image. So we have to put the force flag. Untagged, and if we type again the docker images, you will see there is no image highlighted here. So we understood many commands until there. Now let's understand one of the important command when we free up some of the spaces from the running containers, stopped containers, all the kill containers. So in that case we run one of the important command, which is docker system prune. So this will remove all the stopped containers which we saw earlier, all the unused networks, all the dangling images which is not binded to any of the containers, and it will also remove the build cache. If previously stored somewhere, we build a new container or new application inside the container, so that cache also be removed. So let's see, earlier we saw we have many containers. Let's run this command and we will check it again, like how many containers will be listed. So it is asking us in the form of warning, like all the stops container to be removed, all networks not used at least one container, that also be removed, all dangling images, unused build caches. So we will just type, or we will just provide the flag y. So it is saying deleted containers and all the images has been untagged and deleted too. So let's type docker ps -a. So you are seeing here there is no stopped containers or the exited container. So this is the quick command if you want to remove everything from a system. Okay, you can type it. Just bear in that mind, like this command generally we don't run in the production systems, because this will kill everything, whatever is running, whatever is stopped or exited from the container. Either, like, we just have to avoid using this command in the production environment. So guys, that's all for this today's session. We understood many commands by running in a terminal. So this is our first practical session. Moving forwards, we will be using this terminal for other set of practical sessions. I would request to repeat these set of commands. These are very important commands and we use day-to-day basis in a production environment or in our staging environments. So every engineer, every DevOps engineer, system engineer, platform engineer who is using the Docker, so must be using these commands in our daily life. So with that, I would say thank you so much for staying up until the last of this video.